Data visualization versus infographics. How the graphic is generated. With data visualizations, programs create the graphics. Data numbers are used for the generation. The numbers are crunched by some program or algorithm, with the output being the graphic presented in the data visualization. For example, a data visualization may use original data to create a map for the purpose of exploring the underlying data visually. In this example, I can mouse over any particular area of the map and I see the bar chart on the left changes to reflect the underlying data. In infographics, the graphics are created. They are not usually rendered programmatically, but they're created as graphic elements. They may be created using Photoshop or a number of other graphic development tools, although there are tools available with templates providing a number of automated layout and design options as well. Aesthetic treatment. With data visualizations, the focus is on the data, not the flair. They're less artistic and focused on the exploration of the data. There is greater interest in the gestalt and less about applying an editorial process. Data visualizations can be created for the purposes of making sense of the data or to change a data set into a more accessible form. Therefore, less attention is paid to the flashiness and flair. Common forms of data visualization include familiar objects like pie and line charts, bar charts, and maps, although many data visualizations have become very complex creations. The underlying objective is still the data. Infographics get a more artistic aesthetic treatment. They're more artistic and more stylistic. They're traditionally static, and basically they're a colorful page bursting with icons, graphics, and statistics. Some infographics are designed specifically to entertain and engage audiences, and therefore the overall presentation is just as important as the data. Interactivity. Data visualizations use dynamic data sources. In some cases, data visualizations may be static, but most often these are interactive and they allow the user to explore the information in different ways. In many cases, the same programmatic process that creates one data visualization could be applied to an entirely different data set to produce a similar output. For example, the program that creates this visualization could be used to explore the underlying data for virtually any map. Infographics, on the other hand, are driven by static data. Although it's not a hard and fast rule, the data behind the design of an infographic is usually static. Infographics are usually designed for a particular data set for a particular purpose. Amount of data. With data visualizations, there's lots of data, and data is the focus. Often, the data sets can be so massive and unwieldy that it can be almost impossible or at least too laborious for a human to process. Therefore, data visualizations are far more likely to be generated automatically through the use of algorithms or computer programs, with data, again, being the focus. This is particularly the case when considering big data. With infographics, there's less data and the focus is on conclusions. Infographics are generally created for the purpose of telling or explaining a specific story and will usually be intended for a specific audience. Thus, infographics are quite subjective in nature. Often, the data is already processed by someone, and thus the conclusion is the focus of the infographic. They are also self-contained and discrete. The information presented is with context and designed and presented in a way that is accessible for a specific audience. So, in this video, you saw the differences between data visualizations and infographics.